Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel, and I have a question for you. What happens when the person sworn to uphold civilization becomes the very reason it survives? Because today we are talking about Ricky Dicky Doodog Rhymes,
Ricky Dicky Dog Rhymes.
who's not just a survivor in a world overrun by the dead, but instead, he is a man forced to redefine what humanity even means when the very system that once supported it is long gone by the time he awakens from his coma. And we're not going to be talking about the absolute simple video game trash that is put out there. For example, the Walking Dead dynasties. I mean, that's complete trash. Though, however, the Tall Tale series of games that are absolute masterpieces in my opinion, absolute amazing games, but they're not a part of the main continuity of the show. But we'll get back into that later in the video. So we're going to go back into the main topic, that is the show. And the walkers are not the true threat because they are simply a part of the environment in the apocalypse. Because the true, real dangers is what people become inside that very same environment, i.e., the absolute crazy nutjob whisperers to the absolute brutality of the saviors that are led by Negan, even to the tools that are the wolves. There is no actual true shortage of danger within this world, and it is the very transformation of each and every character that is in the show that deeply caught my attention. And Rick Grimes, also known as Officer Friendly or even the Brave Man, he is the clearest example of that very transformation I speak of. Because when we are introduced to Ricky Diggy Doodog Grimes, he starts as a sheriff's deputy, and as the series continues, he ends as something else entirely because he's not a good man. He isn't even an evil one. So he becomes something necessary. And this raises the central question for the entire video and even his entire story. And that question is, when the world ends, does morality evolve or does it die with the world? Welcome back to the channel, everyone. And you probably noticed that I nuked the entire channel because the videos last year and the year before, all those videos were horrible. So all the 500 videos, there was like 572 videos total that I made. Somehow they all got 0 views. So hopefully the changes that I am making to the channel will eventually work up to something that will help me reach my dream. And my dream isn't just to become a content creator, because becoming a content creator is something that will aid in my pursuit of being a writer, or even not just becoming a writer, because I made a whole like multiverse that I want to get out there. And please consider, liking and subbing to the channel. Even please subscribe, because I want to build something beautiful with anybody and everybody. Because I mean, like I said, like I am working towards my dream, and later on during this year I will release my book, hopefully during summer. And just please come on this journey with me, and let's go ahead and continue back into the video. And now we're talking about the fall. Before the world went to absolute shit, Rick Grimes is defined by his very own structure. And we are shown during the series that he believes in 3 core ideas in the very early seasons. He believes that the law works, people are fundamentally good, and order always returns no matter what. Because as a sheriff's deputy, Rick operates in a world where consequences are always predictable, crime is punished, and justice is served, and life always has its boundaries. This matters because Rick's entire physiological arc depends on losing every one of those assumptions. And when Rick awakes from his coma, after being absolutely blown away, the world is already gone by the time he awakens. Which I just want to add, the entire time he was in that coma, in that hospital, there was a woman, a nurse at that hospital that stayed behind. And all the patients that were abandoned in the early days of the apocalypse, dude, she euthanized each and every patient. And the only reason she didn't get to Rick is because of Shane putting that hospital bed in front of his door, and a man who ended up killing the woman, the nurse that was euthanizing and locking everybody behind that don't open dead inside door. So it wasn't just Shane that ended up saving Rick, it was also that dude. I forget his name, but hopefully he is out and about surviving peacefully in the apocalypse even 10 years later. But as Rick exits the tomb that is the hospital, we see how the government got completely wiped out despite having the top-notch weaponry they had. I mean, look at the governor. He had a fucking AUG. Daryl, he used a GTA gun in I believe it was the last episode of season 8 or season 7, I think, and a rocket launcher. He just found a military rocket launcher. So there's no reason why the military should have got wiped out. That speaks volume of their training. And as Rick sees this, he explores and he notices that there is no government, there is no courts, there is absolutely no backup. There is just silence. And immediately, despite seeing the absence and massacre, Rick does something very human. He tries to restore what no longer exists. So, along his way, he searches for a police authority and arms Morgan, a man he meets after saving his life. He arms him and his son with the guns from the station, while he looks for survivors also. AE, his wife Lori, who was being absolutely fucking raw dogged by his best friend Shane. But as Rick explores further, he also follows Structure as he progresses. But Structure has collapsed during his absence. And as he progresses even further across Atlanta, we see that this is not survival instinct yet, but instead this is pure denial, because Rick is still mentally living in the old world. And that mismatch between belief and reality is deadly. But it is also where his transformation begins. And dude, it's honestly why I personally love the character that is Officer Friendly, because in a broken world, he still tries to be good. Now, I do want to talk about Shane. And in season 1 and 2, it shows us that Rick also, during this time, represents law. But his best friend Shane and his partner represents adaptation. And we are shown more of the Shane effect as, we see more of him on screen. Because Shane is what happens when morality becomes inefficient at the end of the world. Because where Rick hesitates, Shane acts. And where Rick questions, Shane eliminates uncertainty. We see this brutality of Mr. Walsh and how much of a tool that he really is. At first, Shane appears stronger, more capable, more decisive, and at times even more fit. I mean, look, he threw a massive monkey wrench at Rick. I mean, he lobbed that shit. It was insane. I mean, he's very rageful. And for the new world, it's very awe-inspiring. But Shane's philosophy comes with a great cost, because he removes morality from decision-making entirely. And this creates the central ideological conflict of Rick's early arc, that is season 1 and 2. Because Shane very oftenly, challenges Rick and even Dale at times. But I also want to ask another question. Do you preserve humanity at the cost of survival? Or do you survive at the cost of your very own humanity? We see that Rick does not immediately reject Shane, however. In fact, he absorbs part of him. This is very important because Rick's transformation is not a clean break from morality, but we see that it is a slow contamination of it. Because every time Rick makes a necessary decision, from killing, lying, executing threats, he becomes slightly more like Shane, until eventually he realizes something absolutely fucking horrifying. Shane was not wrong about survival. He was wrong about everything else though. And by then, it was already too late, because Shane was already gone by that point during that realization. But his mindset remains inside Rick though. And we see more and more of this when Rick tears out the throat of the Claimers leader, or when he executes the Terminus crew. Even more so during his last episode in season 9, when we see Herschel, Shane, and Sasha, and how they are the parts of those characters that he absorbed. But However, it also teaches us that how much he truly cared for them, even when they were long gone. Though, then again, it's also symbolic, because it shows us that each and every character that is in the show is interconnected with each other. Because in reality, I mean, let's be honest, if it wasn't for the apocalypse, everybody that's in the show would just be passing strangers. They would not know that each other even existed. But the apocalypse happened, and it created a beautiful found family dynamic, and I can't get enough of it. I need more of it. I adore it. Shows need better character development. Please give me more. Leadership, however, because Rick's final episode show us during his heated debate with Daryl when they found in the hole during their little tussle, Rick just flat out says that he didn't ask anybody to follow him. And in all honesty, because dude, he didn't. We see that Rick does not choose to become a leader. He is assigned a role by circumstance. People follow him not because he wants control, but because he takes responsibility when others cannot. Though this creates a physiological burden to him, for every death becomes a personal failure. Every loss becomes self-blame. I mean, take the death for Laureate, for example. He didn't just lose his wife. He lost someone that he was meant to protect and nurture. Though he also learns that every decision becomes irreversible. And over time, Rick begins to internalize leadership as punishment, and sees that the more people rely on him, the more isolated he really becomes. Just like his rampage during the prison, where he self-cleared the entire prison block, while everyone assisted their loss of T-Dog, Lori, and I believe during this time, they assumed Carol was dead, but in reality, she was just in a hole. But however, everybody celebrated the birth of Judith during this time. But Rick wasn't just rageful, because leadership in the apocalypse is not about authority, not always at least. It is about carrying consequences no one else wants to deal with. This is where Rick's identity begins to fracture, because he is still trying to be a good man. But the definition of good in the apocalypse is collapsing around him, and he is tested further and further and further as the series continues. Now, I do want to take a break from the main topic real quick and talk about how much a video company can truly profit if they make a non-VR Walking Dead game. I mean, in 2018, there was a game called Overkill's The Walking Dead, and oh my god, that game was beautiful. Now, I did pre-order that, and the day when I went to go pick it up, I didn't get the memo. I didn't see the announcement, or even if they made an announcement, I didn't see it. But I went to go pick up my copy from the store, and they fucking canceled it. So I got Anthem instead, and that was a beautiful game as well, but sadly, it's no longer a thing. I mean, the Telltale series of The Walking Dead, I mean, that was their main claim to fame. The story with Clementine and Lee and Kenny and Javier and so on and so forth. So imagine how good of a game. I mean, give it to Naughty Dog, you know what I mean? I mean, we see their masterpiece that is The Last of Us. But in reality, I mean, let's be honest, any other game that is going to be about The Walking Dead, it's definitely for sure going to be for a VR headset. I mean, look at the Saints and Sinners and Onslaught. Those are VR games, and they're amazing. I mean, I've seen gameplay on it. Awesome. Though I do want to talk about the Walking Dead Dynasties. I mean, I pre-ordered it because it's a Walking Dead game, and I'm a huge Walking Dead nerd, hence this video. Now, the Walking Dead Dynasties, I don't agree with the price. It should be free or a mobile game. Same with Anthem. Sorry, not Anthem. Marathon. Marathon is so dog shit, just like the Walking Dead Dynasties, and I do not agree with their price for what the product is. They were definitely rushed, and when I pre-ordered The Walking Dead, I didn't get, The Walking Dead Dynasties, I didn't get an hour into it, and then I immediately uninstalled it. And ever since then, it has been sitting in my library, uninstalled, collecting dust. That's just a prime example of the video game trash that is put out there. But then we got the Walking Dead Survival Instinct. I played the shit out of that. Me and my brother did that. Oh my god, that game was amazing. Now, though, we're going to get into the topic of the heavenly jolly man himself and the very influence he had on Rick. Because today we're talking about Herschel Green as well. And he represents something Rick is losing, his faith in people. Because even up to his death, Herschel believes people can change, violence is not always the answer, and hope is always still valid in the apocalypse even. And Rick, he respects this, but does not fully believe in it. And often we see him giving Herschel that officer-friendly side-eye, bitch face when speaking. And instead, Herschel becomes a stabilizing contraction in Rick's life. And we see for whenever Rick leans too far into his brutality, Herschel always makes sure to pull him back. But the world eventually removes Herschel, and it removes him in a very violent way. I loved Herschel's character, and my jaw fucking dropped when I turned in on that particular Sunday, only to see him be decapitated by Michonne's very own katana. And that removal of Herschel is very symbolic, because it represents the final collapse of Rick's old morality system. And after Herschel's death, Rick no longer has a physiological counterweight at this point, because only survival remains after that. And I just want to add that imagine how traumatizing it was for Michonne's own character development to see one of the people that she actually cared about and loved and potentially saw as a father figure be cut down with the very own weapon that she carries around. Just imagine, like, that was heartbreaking seeing. You can see the pain in her face when she had to put down the head of Walker Herschel. But during this entire period, people misunderstand that the prison arc is apparently a peaceful one. And as you can see, if you ever watched The Walking Dead, season 3 and 4 and part of 5, it's very much not peaceful because we lost T-Dog. And T-Dog, he was very much a character that I did enjoy seeing. But we also lost Lori, Otis. He was another funny guy as well. We lost him. But instead, the prison arc is about reconstruction as Rick and the others try to rebuild society again within the tomb. I mean, it's a tomb. It's a tomb. It's not a community. It's a fucking tomb. They try doing crops, reintroducing rules, even have rotating leadership within the prison. And for a brief moment, it actually worked. But there is a flaw in the system because they assume that the world outside will remain outside. And this is where their weakness truly begins to show, because they took no effort into actually reinforcing their home. Like, they had a lot of people. They brought everybody from Woodbury all the way to the prison. So it was a lot of people. They probably had more than 30, maybe 40 people total, right? Now, ask the people, hey, let's go outside of the gates and go and hit up a Home Depot, gather materials so we can help reinforce the gate. Because hold on. Didn't a horde get past and okay, whatever. I'm pretty sure I remember a horde of walkers getting past and Rick and Carl had to dispatch them. In reality, they were not safe in the prison whatsoever because they were being fucking lazy asses during this point in time. And the governor's attack shatters this illusion. More importantly, though, it also teaches Rick a permanent lesson. It teaches him that safety is temporary, and this is also something that he teaches Carl after the group deals with Terminus people. He also teaches the entire group that no structure is stable, and everything built can always be destroyed at any time. And on the road, this is where Rick transitions from builder to guardian, because at this point now, he is trying to create a better world, and he starts to survive the worst one. And we even see the part of Shane that resides within him to come out, because now, as we saw with the Claimers or even the Terminus crew, there is no limit to his own brutality. And honestly, dude, again, I can't emphasize this enough. Rick Grimes is a man of his word, and he brought down that red machete that he promised Gareth, and he executed the entire Terminus group. Though I didn't expect everybody to get involved in the execution. Talking about the cannibals, though, Terminus is a physiological collapse, because it is the very moment that Rick realizes that good intentions are not always protection, because people can lie, communities could hide rot, and that safety can be a bait. The cannibal reveal is not just horror, though. It is ideologically destruction, and what they displayed wasn't power. It was horrific. And even, I mean, dude, we saw Glenn almost be killed, right? But the blonde dude that Rick and Carol saved when Carol got banished after burning sick people in the prison, right? That dude was there. And you can see the defeat in Rick and how he failed that person because he did want to save that person and he just got killed. And Rick saw that he failed another person he was meant to save and protect. And during this, Rick's worldview shifts again. Before Terminus, he thought people can't be trusted until proven otherwise. Then, after Terminus, everyone is a threat until proven otherwise. And this is not just paranoia for the entire group, it is adaptation though. It comes at a cost as well though. Rick loses the ability to see strangers as neutral. Every encounter becomes evaluation. Every group becomes risk assessment, and slowly, empathy becomes secondary to everyone's survival logic. Which is understandable. They went through hell and back trying to survive. I mean, they did walk with a group of walkers for a short time. So, I mean, because they know, oh, walkers are a threat, but we know, they're predictable. You know what I mean? I mean, in reality, there is no shortage of threats in the show. And oh my God, there is no shortage of hostility in the apocalypse because, we are introduced to various groups and they are horrific in their very own ways. Though, let's move on because I want to talk about the Alexandria arc now. Now, after a very persuasive talking to, Aaron escorts the group to his colony, and Alexandria represents the return of civilization, but not competence, because in reality, the people there are absolute pussies and tools, right? Because they still believe in pre-apocalypse thinking. They think walls equals safety, rules equals protection, and kindness equals stability. And with having spent real time on the road, the others and Rick see that this is dangerous arrogance, because he has already learned that the world does not reward belief in safety. It rewards preparation for violence. This creates eternal conflict. So as they try to integrate back into society, Rick becomes both protector and disruptor of the entirety of Alexandria. After he is made constable, he strengthens it by making it safer, but also destabilizing it by exposing it to brutality. And this contraction defines his middle era in the series, because Rick starts to absolutely lose his shit chasing some married tail. I mean, Jesse wasn't even that bad, you know what I mean? So I don't know, but he is also trying to rebuild civilization using tools that destroy it, and somehow it actually worked. But it also changes him further though, because at this point he is no longer a sheriff. Instead, he is a commander managing controlled violence. And Glenn, Abraham, Daryl, and even Michonne and Maggie on occasion help him manage, and they help him manage with great chaotic succession. As they further integrate themselves into Alexandria, we are slowly introduced to the Saviors. And in season 8, we are then introduced to the iconic legend that is Negan Smith. Oof, and his sexy baseball bat, barbed wire baseball bat, Lucille. And Negan's arrival marks total physiological domination over the entire group. In this era, Rick is now broken, but not by death, but by helplessness, as they all see that the Saviors are not just enemies, they are a system, a hierarchy of fear and obedience. And after a real heart-to-heart in the RV, Rick is forced into submission after almost cutting Carl's arm off, which does something critical to Rick. It removes his agency. AE makes him Negan's little bitch. He grabs that present pocket and he's all like, you know what? Tag along, homie. And when Rick finally regains control after the All Out War season, he no longer is fighting for ideals at this point. He is fighting for elimination of a threat that took Glenn and Abraham away, along with so many others. And at that point, the war against the Saviors is not just justice. Even though he did spare Negan, we see that this is correction. Because at this point, Rick is now fully operating under one principle. Threats must be removed at all costs. And usually this is where Rick becomes more dangerous because he no longer hesitates now. But we see that justice can be served. And making Negan a martyr, Rick sees that this isn't the way. And in reality, killing Negan would actually cause more issues. And as he spares Negan, we see the return of Officer Friendly. Now, I do want to add that I forget what his name was. I believe it was Martinez or Morales or something. I can't remember. The character in season 1 that they met on the rooftop, that is the dude who dubbed Rick Grimes Officer Friendly, right? And we see him return as a savior. And it's Daryl who actually kills him. I mean, this is someone that Daryl used to survive with in the Atlanta quarry group. And Daryl kills him without remorse and without hesitation. And the person now who dubbed Rick Grimes as the one and only Officer Friendly is dispatched with ease. And we see further that, morale and erosion is very prominent and very clear for a lot of characters during the season. Because at this stage, Rick is no longer a man defined by clear morality. Instead, he operates under situational ethics now. If he protects the group, it is justified. If the choices he makes eliminate risk, it is acceptable. If it prevents future harm, it is necessary. However, this is not corruption though. Instead, it is adaptation to extreme conditions. And again, it's situational ethics. But the question becomes, does survival justify moral erosion? Or is Rick becoming exactly what the world produces when empathy is no longer sustainable? After Rick is pronounced dead, presumed dead, when Rick is presumed dead, and we are moving further into season 9 and in season 10 and so on and so forth, we are introduced to more horrors of this wasteland. As the Whisperers represent the next stage of human evolution in the apocalypse, as they completely get rid of their identities and emotion and completely reconstruct their social behaviors, right? Because, in reality, we see that they're psychotic, right? They skin walkers, and walkers also happen to be human corpses. And they wear human skin suits. Because at this, we see that how they totally abandon civilization. And this group do it in such a horrifying way. And even at this point, Rick's philosophy is now tested against a group that has already completely abandoned everything. So at this point, even 10 years later, which is fucking insane to me that he was with the CRM 10 years longer than when he was with Michonne and Daryl and the others. So stew on that for a moment, alright? Now at this point though, Rick is no longer present physically in this arc, but instead it's his legacy. And it shapes how others respond because Rick in reality, even 10 years later, he is still shaping and changing the world. Though not by saving it, but by forcing it to adapt. Though now, as we get further to the end of the video, I want to talk about who Rick Grimes or what he really is. Because he's not a hero in the traditional sense. He can be brutal, but he's not a villain. He is something more realistic though. And something far more uncomfortable. He is shaped entirely by necessity, and every moral decision he makes is filtered through survival pressure. With every loss, it hardens him further, and yet, despite everything, Rick never fully abandons one thing: responsibility. He never abandons it, even when broken, even when lost, even when stripped of all of his things. He still carries others throughout it all. And that is the core of his character. It's not purity, it's not strength, it's not even burden. Rick Grimes is what happens when a man refuses to stop caring in a world that punishes care. And that may be why his character, his entire story, resonates so deeply with me. Because in the end, dude, he's not trying to be a hero now. He's just trying to make sure someone else survived. I mean, he tries to make sure other people live so it can be fixed. And it does get fixed eventually, and it does get repaired and perfected into its most beautiful stage. And I can't get enough of it. I want more of it, please. Now, okay, take the story from The Walking Dead, and again, going off topic again, a video game company can really profit if they make a good story. I mean, look at Pragmata, for example. Dude, they can make an emotional ass good game that's not VR and, you know, make it beautiful. I mean, they can make big bucks. Huge dollar signs, big bucks. If an actual good Walking Dead game is produced. Again, hand it to Naughty Dog or the people who made Death Stranding, and they'll whip up something good, alright? Though, let's get back into the main topic, though. Again, I can't emphasize this enough. Make a good game, please. Make a good game, please, of The Walking Dead. So, let's get back into the main show, though. Because Rick's story doesn't end with victory. It doesn't end with peace either. But instead, it ends with survival continuing without him at the center of it. Though, maybe at this point in the world, maybe that's actually what needs to happen. Maybe that's the point. Because no one really wins. I mean, the governor got absolutely smoked, while Negan was spared. The claimers were thrashed and the alpha was decapitated. But the good people, though, they just endure. And Rick Grimes? He just endures longer than most. Not because he is the strongest, but he refuses to stop carrying the weight of everyone else. Because it is true, what they say, he truly is the one who lives. Alright everybody, that was my character analysis on the one and only Ricky Dicky Doodog Grimes. And please, if you did like the video, please like, sub, and doing all that good stuff. Y'all already know what to do. Every YouTuber does it. And please, with every like, sub, and comment, it further contributes to my dream. And please stick around for, you know, any news and stuff like that. Follow all the socials, you know, Herald of Tomorrow on all socials. Keep up to date with everything else that is going on and what I am working on. But nonetheless, it was a pleasure making this video. I had a lot of fun making it. And have a good one, everybody. I'll see you all in the next one. Have a good one. Bye.